Hi, everyone. This is Christina Singh with Neighbors Together. I'm the Director of Communications and Donor Relations with Neighbors Together. And I am so excited to be back with an interview series with our staff, basically a year later. Last year, we brought you a bunch of interviews with our staff during COVID, and during that time, we had shifted our programs dramatically. We had shifted our services dramatically. So we really wanted you guys to hear what we've been doing, what we've been up to. And a year later, we really want to fill you in on what we've been doing for the past year and how we've been structuring things. I really wanted to start this conversation with our staff, with Nathalie, who is our Director of Programs in HR. So Nathalie, hello again, a year later. I can't believe it's been a year since we've had this conversation. And part of the reason we're doing this also is because we have officially launched our spring fundraising campaign to help fund our work at Neighbors Together. We are so proud of the work that we've done over the past year and just so excited to have you all support us. So if you didn't know, over the next 8 weeks, we will be chatting with you all, giving you lots of information about what we've been doing and raising funds to support our programs. So our goal right now is to raise $125,000. So you can head to neighborstogether.org/rebuild to donate. Again, that's neighborstogether.org/rebuild. And we would absolutely love your support right now because we're still here, we're rebuilding, and we are still here in this community making a difference. So let's dive into it on what we've been doing, Nathalie. Last year, when we discussed the cafe and our programs, we talked about our community cafe really adjusting its schedule, all of our and its format. All of our meals went from being served inside our cafe to go. And we had a huge transition in serving meals to go in the cafe. Our staff was very limited and switching off times that they were coming in and out of the cafe, along with some temporary staff in the cafe as well. So I wanted to talk to you about what we're doing, what we have been doing, what we're doing right now, and what our staffing looks like in the cafe so people know where we are right now with this particular program. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure, definitely. So, yes, our community cafe, right now it's run by our full-time operations manager and our chef. They are an awesome duo, making it happen in the cafe. However, we have been relying and we continue to rely on our few temps who've been assigned to us by the Human Resources Administration. And they're still with us. And we're very grateful to HRA for allowing them to work in our program. So it benefits them in that they are getting paid during the time. Our members are getting fed, and we're able to just continue to provide an awesome meal to the public Monday through Friday.
Yes.
And as I had mentioned before, we needed to reduce our meals to just once a day. And as of right now, we're continuing in that way, just from 12 to 2. We are serving lunch. And we're now starting to have conversations about what it would look like to expand to 2 meals for the public. You know, our priority is the safety of our staff and our temps who are on site, and also the general public. We're having conversations about what it will look like to actually reconvene with the dining in option, but for right now, for the safety, we're just continuing with the meals to go.
Awesome. So what do our meals look like right now? I know we've posted a video. Delicious. Yes, always delicious. But what do our meals look like? How are they being served to go? You know, we've posted things online, but how are we preparing foods? What do they look like?
Right. So our chef, he's still receiving food through a couple of grants that we have with Food Bank and United Way. We're also purchasing food out of pocket. We're also getting fresh produce from the local community garden, Phoenix Garden, as well. And so him, along with the help of at least like 1 or 2 of the temps, are prepping vegetables and getting like proteins together. So we have chicken, fish on site, and other proteins that we're serving. So quite often the meals are like a protein, like a meat dish, um, vegetables, and like a grain or like a starch. And in addition to that, we serve like a dairy, usually like yogurt and some fruit to go with it. And they're serving about like, they're preparing at least like 200 meals a day. And we're serving it to the public.
Yeah, so we're preparing 200 meals a day. Last time we talked about how we are seeing a lot of new faces in our
Mhm, mhm.
cafe. Is that still the case? What does that look like? And how many people are we
Yeah.
seeing?
We are actually still seeing new faces. It's always like new faces. I actually about like in one of the meals, there were like families who were coming up, even at the end of the meal, who were coming to us for the first time, not knowing about our meal service. And so we're seeing more families, we're seeing more individuals, some elderly, some children still who are coming by with their parents to pick up meals. Um, and I want to make sure answer the other question you wanted
Yeah,
to know.
how many people are coming to us
Oh, yes,
right
yes.
now?
So um, early in the month, we still see a little, like maybe about like 180, and then towards the end of the month, we're seeing 200 and 250
A
per meal.
day.
Yes, exactly, per day. And we are still offering meals to the local shelter. So there's a large family shelter not far from us, and we're able to provide them meals Mondays and Wednesdays, twice a week.
Yes, I don't know if we touched on that in our last
Okay.
interview that we did. I think that was
Yeah.
before that had
Mm-hmm.
started. I
Hmm.
can't remember off the
Yeah,
top of my
yeah, yeah.
head. But if you follow us via our newsletter, that is such a beautiful thing that has come from all of this. We've been so long wanting to, for so long, we've been wanting to deliver meals in some capacity. And so
Hmm.
we have been to this family shelter for some time now. So that's great that that's still ongoing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, as far as volunteering, what does that look like right now? And what are some of the safety protocols we have in place?
Okay. So in regards to volunteering, what we're not doing is taking like corporate like groups at a time. We are focusing on just individuals. It's just easier for us to manage the space and to prevent too many people in the space. So we try to max it out no more than like 6 people like in the cafe total to help with the prepping, serving, and cooking of the meals. Um, and so again, like it's more like individuals. So and whoever might be interested in like volunteering for a few hours, we welcome them to come by. Usually in the mornings, they could come by Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So those are the days that our chef is, like prepping
Yeah.
meals. He needs some assistance with that. Like between like 9 and 11, that is awesome. But if anyone's interested in serving a meal, they're welcome to come between like 11:30 and 2:30. And then we also need help with cleaning. So coming in like
Yes.
1:30 in the afternoon to stay till like 3 to help clean the space is definitely appreciated. Um, but if anyone's interested in volunteering, we do recommend that they contact our operations and volunteer manager, Sandro. They can just send an email at volunteerneighborstogether.org, and he will follow up with some screening questions. Of course, for COVID, we want to make sure that people are safe, that they haven't been exposed to the virus, that they're not having any symptoms coming in. It's even best if they're vaccinated, to come in and help
Yes.
out. So if anyone's interested, like we are definitely open and in need of volunteers. But at this time, we cannot take like large groups.
Yeah. Uh, you mentioned vaccinations and being
Mhm.
vaccinated. So, what does that look like for our staff right now in the cafe and our temporary workers? And then, second part, what does that look for our members, the people who are coming to us right now?
Yeah. Yes. So as of today, all of our cafe staff and temps who are in the cafe are vaccinated. They've gotten both their doses, yes, which is great. Um, and however, for our members, we surprisingly, like for those who've been coming in specifically for the social services, many of them are actually vaccinated, which is awesome.
Amazing.
And we just started like signing people up for vaccines to system and getting the appointments uh, at a vaccine site near them about a week ago. And even
Beautiful.
in our outreach, we're finding that a lot of people, again, are vaccinated, but there are many who are hesitant or might need some more information or just some direction about where they can go to get vaccinated.
Amazing. And I know we've been doing a ton of outreach around COVID safety and COVID
Hmm. Hmm.
education and COVID
Yeah,
health. And I know that directly relates to our cafe and our efforts right now. Can
yeah.
you talk a little bit about the efforts that you've been doing? I know we've included pictures of you in a mask handing out kits to people. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Sure, of course, of course. So Neighbors Together, we've been partnering with Black Health around providing the public with free PPE supplies, as well as information about COVID, encouraging testing, like frequent testing, directing them to the DOH mobile like health units that are in the area for testing, and also encouraging people to sign up for vaccinations. So since we started this project with them in August of last year, we've actually distributed over like 120,000 masks to the public, which is great. We have a team, our member leaders, they are doing an awesome job. They are like, should I give out their names? Like, yeah, I can say their names. So you have Lord, you have Gwen, you have Ray, Leroy, Lewis, Tyler. They have been going out multiple times a week to do the outreach, pretty much. So they're the ones out there in the neighborhood, specifically in Ocean Hill. We're also like targeting areas that have been identified as like high risk for COVID. So
Mm,
like in 11206, 11208 zip code areas, as well as like Bronzeville 11212. So we've been circling these
yeah,
neighborhoods for quite some time. And right now, in addition to the supplies, we're now focusing more on the vaccinations. And
wonderful.
we will be doing this until the end of June. So
Okay.
yeah.
Great. So if somebody is in need of more information, or if they're looking to, get more resources about a place to get vaccinated in the area, I think something we would love for you all to know, if you're a member, if you've come to Neighbors Together, just be in touch with us if you need any resources around that.
Yeah.
So thank you for outlining so many of these things so beautifully, as always. I want to just shift really quickly to the empowerment program.
Right.
So the empowerment program is our social services program. What is that looking like right now? I know last year everyone was remote, but we were still
Yeah.
working
Mhm.
on supplying our members with as many services as we can. So what does that look like right now in the
Yeah.
empowerment program?
Right. So as of right now, our empowerment programs team, they are still working remotely. However, we do have like two of the temps who are on site assisting with managing the space. And I think one of the things that I did mention was the Zoom station. I don't know if we had already talked about that, but that has been going very well. You know, for our members who do not have access to internet or to phone, they have been welcome to come to Neighbors Together. Of course, after being screened for COVID,
Yes.
they were allowed to come into the space and they can meet with our staff remotely safely in our conference room. So they are receiving the services that they need. The services continue primarily around housing. As you know, like affordable housing is like almost like pretty much non-existent for low income New Yorkers. But our team has been working so hard to make it possible for our members around housing. We also connect members to benefits. And what we have been doing in person actually are taxes. So by appointment only, members who need to have their taxes done, they're welcome to come by and get it for free one site with our team.
Beautiful.
And I did mention the housing. I'm just really excited to say that despite the limitation, the barriers with the pandemic, despite the fact that so many like realtors and housing providers have needed to like kind of shut down and like slow down the process for placement, Neighbors Together has been able to at least place like almost 20 members in permanent housing over the past year, which is amazing.
Incredible. During a
Incredible.
global
Exactly.
pandemic.
Exactly. And it wasn't easy. You know, the team works hard. They work really hard to ensure that our members are getting the best deals, that they are being considered, that they're not facing discrimination, that they're getting the interviews, that they're moving into spaces that they feel really proud to call home. And that's been a priority for us. We know that when it comes to poverty, a lot of times people think about food, and we clearly we believe in giving food, but we
Yeah.
recognize that how much housing plays such a huge part in stability in people's lives. So our priority in our social services have been around providing services specifically for housing.
Yeah, incredible. And I know in our staff meetings, we're always so excited when those stories come up and when we can hear about those wins, those big, big wins.
Hmm.
Can you remind folks, or maybe people who have never, heard of Neighbors Together before,
Yeah.
who's in our empowerment program? Like who staffs it and what do they do?
Yes, so our empowerment program consists of an awesome team of three. Lauren Bates, she's our member advocate. And so, working remotely, she is working with us through a partnership that we have with Avodah, which is a Jewish Service Corps program. And she has been amazing in like really sharpening our housing skills, services that we've been giving to the public. And she works alongside a housing advocate, Suzanne, who her background is in, she's in real estate. And so she understands the market, she knows how to navigate the system very well. And so she's been with us for quite some time, helping in that project as well. And finally, we have our supportive housing specialists. So many members, as you can imagine, are like dealing with the trauma of homelessness, and you add to that like schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, PTSD. And so we have found that members who may be suffering with a mental illness could possibly, the aim is to help them get housing through supportive housing when vouchers are not available to them or it's not an option.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for outlining that. And for those who are not familiar with Neighbors Together, I probably should have said this up top, but our mission is to end hunger and poverty
Yeah.
in some of the lowest income areas in New York City. And we are located in central Brooklyn. And we have 3 programs: our community cafe, our empowerment program, and our community action program. So today we are talking about our community cafe and our empowerment program. And if you've been listening to this, you probably can hear my 7-month-old in the background screaming his little head off. So sorry about that.
So cute.
So just to kind of wrap things up for folks, is there anything else you want to add about our programming right now? Anything that we're doing? Totally fine. If not, I mean, you summarized so many things beautifully. But something that really resonates with me is that, the world is, we're starting to see more people vaccinated. We're starting to have a little bit more of that ability to go into places, to walk around, just kind of feeling a little bit of a release and a breath for some people. But for a lot of people, that is not the case. For the homeless population in New York City, that is not the case. And it has not been the case since the start of this crisis. That is something that so deeply resonates with me in our work, and the fact that we're still so strongly advocating for everyone to have resources, to get vaccinated, to have help.
Yeah.
We had a homelessness crisis before all of this hit, and things are still so devastating. Is there anything that is coming to mind for you as we're wrapping up, just talking about these programs?
I think the only thing I would add is just like why the support is so needed. Neighbors Together, we are a very small and like tiny but powerful organization, but there's so much that needs to get done and we need help. And so like if we had additional funding to expand, we could only imagine what we can do if we had like a larger space or more staff capacity to assist so many New Yorkers. Because even though like our numbers, like, oh my goodness, yes, we serve like so many meals, or we house so many members, or so many people are getting their taxes done, or so many people, you'll hear from CAP about their organizing efforts. There are so many more New Yorkers that need help, and we want to be able to reach them. And so honestly, like the funding would be like such an awesome like way for us to make that possible. So again, we have many testimonies where there's so many more heartbreaking stories that we really want to be able to address.
Yeah. Totally. Thank you so much for outlining that in such a beautiful way. And it is so true. So if you're hearing this and you want to support our work, like I mentioned at the top of this, we are fundraising for the next 8 weeks really strongly to support these programs and support our efforts. You can go to neighborstogether.org/rebuild. You can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook at Neighbors Together. Keep in touch with us and follow our work. And we would love it if you could share this video and share our organization with 3 people you know. Share our message with 3 people you know in your network so they can hear about what's going on in Brooklyn right now. Nathalie, thank you so much for your time in telling us what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And for those watching, we'll see you next week with another interview with one of our staff members. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for your support of our work.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.